Supreme Upholstery Limited is a manufacturer of quality bespoke upholstered furniture. Come along with your ideas for that perfect sofa to fit your home and let Supreme bring your ideas to fruition. We also offer a service to the contract market, including large hotel groups and small family-run business. No matter how large or how small your order, you will always get that personal service from our sales team. Come along and visit our showroom.
Eurogold is driven by being the best civil engineering contractor in the Northwest, ensuring its clients are given the highest level of service that they deserve. Eurogold work in a wide range of industry sectors, including house building, highways, commercial and industrial build.
La Vita is an award-winning, independently run Italian restaurant. Located on Rose Lane in the heart of Liverpool, real Italian-style dishes, using the best ingredients, skillfully prepared by our chefs. Come and try our serious Italian experience.
The Warrington Irish Club. Friendly and welcoming club keeping the Irish culture alive. We have Irish and country music every Saturday night, tribute nights, race nights, charity nights and karaoke. All live sports are shown on big screens. We have snooker, dominoes and Crown Green bowling teams along with arts and craft. Pop in for a friendly welcome and book your event at the Warrington Irish Club. Give Frank a call on 01925 243 363.
Mulligan's Funeral and Monumental Services are a family-owned funeral service first established by the late Brian Mulligan in 1996. We provide funeral homes in Gorton, Manchester and Reddish, Stockport, and we pride ourselves on giving a friendly and professional service to all the families who use our service. Contact us on 0161 432 0809.
Hello to you all and a very warm welcome. Coming up on the show this week, we are at the Salford Museum and Art Gallery for a very special unveiling of a mosaic of Bernadette Conlon, who was the founder of the charity Start. Well, coming up first tonight, we are off to the Anthony Burgess Academy in Manchester to celebrate the life and times of James Joyce.
Let me just say that it is a joy to be back at the International Anthony Burgess Foundation for our second Bloomsday celebration. And I'd like to thank our hosts for having us again today and thank all of you for joining us and for demonstrating your interest in James Joyce and Irish literature.
So Sarah, here we are at the Anthony Burgess Foundation celebrating the life and times of James Joyce.
That's right, today is Bloomsday, Martin, which as you know is on the 16th of June, the day in which Joyce's great novel Ulysses was set. And every year we have a celebration of Ulysses and Joyce on the 16th of June. And we have events happening all across the world, but here in Manchester we're delighted to be partnering with the Anthony Burgess Foundation. And this is our second year at the Burgess Foundation because Burgess himself, a great Mancunian, was a huge fan of Joyce.
There's a great link between James Joyce and Anthony Burgess, which really dates back to when Burgess was a schoolboy. He was 16 years old when he first read Joyce's Ulysses, which quickly became his favourite novel. It was banned at the time in Britain, and he managed to borrow a copy from his history teacher who'd smuggled it in from Germany. So it was this slightly dangerous book, and immediately he recognised it as a great cultural work. And it's really the book that got him started as a writer. And in all of his literary work, he said whenever he sat down to write, Joyce was the writer against whom he measured himself. So it's impossible to overestimate the influence that Joyce had on Anthony Burgess. Burgess wrote 2 books about James Joyce. The first is a sort of biography of Joyce, and the second is quite a specialist critical study of Joyce's language. In 1966, Burgess was asked to prepare a shorter version of Finnegan's Wake, which has just been reprinted. We're very pleased to see that available again. And in 1982, for the Joyce centenary, he wrote a musical based on Ulysses called Blooms of Dublin. He wrote the words and the music, and it was recorded in Dublin, and it was a joint broadcast between British and Irish radio. We're very pleased that the Consul General of Ireland, Sarah Mangan, is here. She'll be presenting a new film about Joyce, which we haven't yet seen, and talking about the importance of Joyce as a writer. And David Quigley, who's an Irish piano player, will be performing a short concert of Irish music, including some of the melodies which appear in Joyce's Ulysses.
James Joyce's novel Ulysses is world famous now, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a great experimental work that was very controversial in its day, but has inspired so many people since then and continues to be read and reinterpreted over the years. So I think Joyce himself said that he had created a novel that the critics would be talking about for generations, and he certainly succeeded in doing that. Here we are 100 years on. It's actually 101 years since the novel was published. It was published in 1922, and here we are still talking about it, yeah. Because he was so experimental, he really pushed the boundaries of what was acceptable and gave a new interpretation to what an English literature, an English novel could be. But of course the great thing from our perspective is the novel celebrates Dublin as well, and so much of his writing celebrates Dublin. And it's full of characters and cadences from Dublin and locations. He said himself that if Dublin was destroyed, you could rebuild it back from his novel.
Mary, many congratulations on becoming the High Sheriff of Greater Manchester recently.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated, and I'm truly honoured to have been selected and chosen for this role, which is just for a period of 12 months, and I was installed on the 15th of April this year.
Now tell me a little bit about your job, what it entails.
Well, the role of High Sheriff is the oldest secular royal appointment, and it's an appointment that's made in person by the King himself. I'm not actually present, but the whole process is done by the King, and it's called the pricking of the lites. The role goes back 1300 years, and once upon a time people didn't want to be the High Sheriff because it involved collecting taxes, and they would try and scrub their names out from the vellum, and to avoid that they pricked the name with what's called a bodkin, so which is a blunt needle, and that meant that nobody could try and get out of the role. But that's not part of our role anymore. The modern High Sheriff has a different role to play. I came over here to Manchester many years ago now, and I used to commute over to Leeds from Manchester to work. But then I retrained and qualified, got my degree in horticulture and garden design, and set up my own business. But it's been just a joy to live here, because I have been so embraced by friends that I walked into a circle of friends through my husband, but I have my own friends over the years that I've created and that I've got to know, and I find the more that you support your communities, the more that you get supported in return, and the respect that brings. I'm truly honoured because I am the first Irish-born person to take on this role, and it's just so special to be able to do this. And one of the big things is that we as High Sheriffs are expected to support, well, we represent the King's interests in law and order in each of our counties, and we are also responsible for highlighting and supporting the work of voluntary groups and charities, especially if they're in the realms of law and order.
It really is a global celebration, and there'll be a big event happening down in our embassy in London as well, and in lots of our embassies and consulates around the world, as well as all of those Joycean fans who have no connections to Irish diplomatic missions at all who'll be celebrating.
And of course there's always great attention paid to James Joyce's daughters. A grave, she's buried in Northampton, Lucia, and of course there's always great celebrations around that time of the year as well.
That's right, yeah. To have an actual physical connection to Joyce and to his family is lovely.
When Burgess was asked to sum up why he valued Joyce above all other novelists, he said, quote, "It is his obsession with the ordinary that should endear Joyce to ordinary readers. Nobody in his books is rich or has high connections. There is no dropping of titled names. We enter no place more exalted than a pub or a public library." The Burgess Foundation is an educational charity. It was set up by Leopold Burgess, the widow of the writer-composer Anthony Burgess, in 2003, really to commemorate and celebrate his work as a novelist and a playwright and poet who also wrote music and theatre and many other things. So this building in Manchester is a study centre and a library and an archive. It's also a performance space. We have music and theatre and film and all kinds of events, a year-round programme of cultural activities. The building is open to the public when we've got events on, and normally that's 5 or 6 nights a week, sometimes during the daytime, and most of the programme is cultural. It's either literature or music, and all of the details of that are on the website anthonyburgess.org.
Joyce changed the literary world through his use of language. Not only did he invent words, but he used obscure words and experimented with different styles of language. In a 1921 letter, Joyce said, "The last word, human, all too human, is left to Penelope," which of course was Ulysses or Odysseus' wife. The last word of Molly's soliloquy, as well as the first word, is yes, a word that Joyce described as the female word. So thank you again all for coming along to celebrate Joyce's singular novel with us. Particular thanks to Andrew, to Annetta, and to all the team here at the International Anthony Burgess Foundation for hosting us. And I now invite you to experience the affirmative power of the closing words of Ulysses through our new short film. Thank you.
Yes, I said.
Oui, j'ai dit.
On a very hot summer's evening, it was great to see such a large attendance coming along to hear about the history of James Joyce. And a very special thank you to Sarah Mangan, the Consul General of Ireland and the North of England, and of course to Andrew Biswell from the Burgess Academy in Manchester. We hope you've all enjoyed it. We're going to take a little break and we'll see you in 2 minutes.
Supreme Upholstery Limited is a manufacturer of quality bespoke upholstered furniture. Come along with your ideas for that perfect sofa to fit your home and let Supreme bring your ideas to fruition. We also offer a service to the contract market, including large hotel groups and small family-run business. No matter how large or how small your order, you will always get that personal service from our sales team. Come along and visit our showroom.
Eurogold is driven by being the best civil engineering contractor in the Northwest, ensuring its clients are given the highest level of service that they deserve. Eurogold work in a wide range of industry sectors, including house building, highways, commercial and industrial build.
La Vita is an award-winning, independently run Italian restaurant. Located on Rose Lane in the heart of Liverpool, real Italian-style dishes, using the best ingredients, skillfully prepared by our chefs. Come and try our serious Italian experience.
The Warrington Irish Club, a friendly and welcoming club keeping the Irish culture alive. We have Irish and country music every Saturday night, tribute nights, race nights, charity nights and karaoke. All live sports are shown on big screens. We have snooker, dominoes and crown green bowling teams along with arts and craft. Pop in for a friendly welcome and book your event at the Warrington Irish Club. Give Frank a call on 01925 243 363.
Mulligan's Funeral and Monumental Services are a family-owned funeral service first established by the late Brian Mulligan in 1996. We provide funeral homes in Gorton, Manchester and Reddish, Stockport, and we pride ourselves on giving a friendly and professional service to all the families who use our service. Contact us on 0161 432 0809.
Welcome back. Now we're off to Salford Museum and Art Gallery for a very special unveiling of a mosaic of Bernadette Conlon, who was the founder of the charity START. The charity does wonderful work supporting people with mental health. Now the mosaic was made by Salford's famous mosaic artist, Rob Lally.
It's our 30-year anniversary this year, so we decided to put on a major exhibition, which is where we are today, and we put that on in March. So last week it was quite a surprise because my colleague Michelle said to us, should we go down and have a coffee? And it was quite relaxed, and yeah, well, let's do that. Let's have a look around the exhibition because we haven't been to be able to look at it in a long time. And we came into the gallery and I was quite surprised because there was quite a number of staff and Rob were here, and I thought, well, why are all these people here? I thought we were just coming for a coffee. And I came in the gallery, and when we got to this site, everybody moved aside, and suddenly there was this image behind, which was a major size mosaic of myself, which was quite a shock at first, but really stunning piece of artwork. In fact, I said to Rob at the time, I think it's the best I've looked in many years. I was really pleased with it.
I was approached by the director of START in Salford, Michelle Dennett. She asked me what my diary was like for the next few months. She told me about the idea, and I said I'd be able to do it. I worked from a photo from Jenny Sadler, who's a photographer. She'd done a high resolution photograph for me, so I worked from that. There's a lot of real fine detail in it, and to have a high resolution photograph to work from is really beneficial. The hair in particular was just seemed to take an absolute eternity, because the way I work, I try and get as much detail as I can, which can be really painstaking and quite psychologically draining when you're working for quite a few hours on particular sections.
Rob is a very special person to us all at the charity. He's a big inspiration to our service users, or our members, and he's our artist in residence at Brunswick House, which is where the charity is based. So yeah, it seemed really fitting that Rob was the person that would do this commemorative mosaic for Bernie. I sort of got Bernadette here to the gallery under the premise that we were going for a coffee and a cake. knowing full well that my colleagues and Rob, the artist, were up here waiting for her. So yeah, really relaxed, coming up the stairs. My tummy had butterflies because I knew what was coming. And myself and Bernie walked round the corner and everybody was here waiting to surprise her. And that was the first time that she saw the mosaic.
Bernie, tell me, where did you get the idea to start this wonderful charity?
Well, I'd always been interested in mental health because some family members had mental health issues, and I noticed that there was not a lot of other options for people rather than drugs or the normal counselling. And I'd seen a few projects, very small projects, where they'd use arts and creative arts to help people, and I thought that'd be a really good idea if I could get involved in that kind of work. So combining the mental health aspect with the arts and creative arts aspect. So that was really where the idea came from, and worked with a couple of people who I knew in different areas of Manchester who were doing similar things. So in the early stages, there was no building or staff members, it was myself. And I used to go around and visit people in their own houses and do artwork with them then. And so it sort of grew from there, really.
And of course, we've all learned so much about mental health over the last recent years, but you were really forward thinking, because going back 30 years ago, we didn't know an awful lot about mental health, and it wasn't really mentioned an awful lot.
Yeah, I think it was sort of the poor relation in terms of healthcare, because no one really wanted to speak about it because there was a bit of a stigma, really. So in those early days, there was a few other sort of what you probably call pioneers, who were people who knew that arts, creative activity, horticulture, those kind of things could get people back into the community and work with them to work on their mental health and strengthen it. So there could be drugs involved, but it wasn't necessarily just drugs and counselling. People needed more than that. They needed to be able to sort of develop themselves and learn how to manage the condition.
I started at the charity 15 years ago as operations manager, and over the last 15 years I suppose I have developed, and now I am the charity director, so leading the day-to-day operations of the charity. In that time, we've grown. We've had to diversify some of our services to ensure that we could survive. We are now an employer of 41 members of staff, so that's increased significantly. But we've done that in order to expand our services to try and support as many people as we possibly can in Salford. The majority of our funding comes from commissioned contracts. So we're really lucky in Salford and Greater Manchester to have the support of statutory commissioners. So they have known from the very beginning the quality of the provision that we provide. We're continually looking at new ways, innovative ways to support people, and that is usually funded through grants. So they're sort of one-off grants for a set number of years. And then I suppose our third element is that fundraising income. So we've got amazing supporters that do things like the Manchester Marathon, they've done sponsored walks, that sort of thing.
I think it was very difficult in the early days because you had the traditionalists who were thinking, well, you know, it's drugs, it's counselling, what else can we do, what's the arts got to do with it, and how can that benefit? So there was a lot of research done in the early days to try and prove that, but it was very difficult because you just had to, I suppose, go and meet people and try and convince them, and hopefully you were passionate about it and they'd come on board. And so in those early days, that's how we got the funding. I'd been nominated by my friends and colleagues for an award, and it turned out that I got an MBE, so we had to go up to Windsor Castle to pick that up. We've had to wait a long time because of the COVID, so there was quite a backlog. So I think it was about 2-3 weeks ago we went to, my sister and I and a friend went off to Windsor Castle to collect the award. Obviously all quite thrilling, not what you think it's going to be. You think you're going to get drinks and and party and food and all of this. None of that. You just go in and you meet the royal that's going to present you and you get some photographs. But it's still a thrilling sort of day. And you don't know till the day who you're going to get. And it was Princess Anne. So immediately, that was quite a surprise because obviously, you see people on the TV, they look bigger than you think. She was quite petite and she was in a black suit and she had the sort of navy apparel on, so looked quite distinguished. And you go up and she puts the award on and you have a chat. So we were probably talking for about 5 or 10 minutes, just asking about the project and what you do and mental health. And she seemed quite knowledgeable, so that was really good. So it was quite a thrilling day, really, but very tiring, I have to say. Needed to go to the pub for a drink afterwards, so a Prosecco was in order. My mum was Irish, my dad was Scottish, so we're quite Celtic. Mum passed away in 99, dad in 98. So I've been over to County Tyrone, Ulmer, where my mum came from. All my relatives on the Irish side came from there. They used to be in farming. Most of my aunties and uncles have passed away now, but there's still members of the family over there. And we've got Irish connections here in Manchester. So, I'm very proud of that and my Scottish connection, really.
We've got a number of different programmes that we provide at Start. The first one, and I suppose it's a golden thread through all of our provision, is around supporting people through creativity. So that is an Arts on Prescription service. That's what Bernadette founded, the idea of supporting people through creative arts and horticulture. So that's our Inspiring Minds programme. We also are part of some really important partnerships in Salford. So we are part of the Wellbeing Matters programme as well, which provides Salford community members with community connectors to help them integrate within their own neighbourhoods and get support from their communities. So they introduce people to things like walking groups, they get people support with housing. They also introduce them to creative activities as well. And then we're also part of the new Salford Living Well programme. And that was a programme that was created to support people who were falling through the gaps. And we have recovery workers as part of Start's employees who support people in living well. We also have a Reach Out programme as well, which is a suicide prevention programme. Our website is startinspiringminds.org.uk, and if you click on the tab Support Us, you'll be able to find all the information of how you can support the charity.
You're a very popular mosaic artist here in the Salford area, and you've done a lot of projects, and of course we've featured some of your work before.
Yes, you have, Martin, and since the last interview I've done one for Family Portrait for Rio Ferdinand, done work for Joe Hart, the Celtic goalkeeper, and a personal mosaic for Bukayo Saka. I've got an official website, it's rialtoceramics.co.uk. I'm also on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram.
I'm really touched that the staff and the project and Rob had spent time working on this for me, which is really very touching and quite a sort of symbol for the tribute for the 30 years, really.
Many congratulations to Bernadette to have the vision to start such a wonderful charity 30 years ago that has helped so many people down the years. And well done to Rob Lally. That mosaic was absolutely fantastic. We hope you all enjoyed it at home. We'll be back next Thursday evening at 7:30 with some more from the Irish in the UK. Until then, thank you all so much for watching.